We're being accused of caster cursing Drogo.
You are. Let's be clear here.
Wow, okay, you're gonna separate yourself.
I never said I hope Drogo wins. I was not going to curse him.
Well, you didn't disagree, so in essence, you agreed, and
Oh,
therefore,
wow.
you're in on this curse.
Wow. Wow. Okay, fine.
Regardless, guys, you see, we're not quite strong enough, I think, tiered casters to have a curse. The only one I have is for Ryung. But anyways, game number 1 of a brand new best of 3. This is Corsair Cup semifinals number 2. And in the upper left side of Arena, we've got the red Protoss MaNa.
In the bottom left, as the green Zerg, he's Guru.
Gotta give a quick shout out to Poland, by the way. They've got some of, I'd say, between Poland and France, some of the best European StarCraft 2 players right now. And MaNa and Guru are certainly good representatives. I will say, though, that this matchup I'm expecting to be a little bit weird and funny, but in like a good way and not a cheesy way. And what I mean by this is, again, we see MaNa play pretty standard. You know, he can beat Snoot, can't beat Rogue, whatever. But Guru is the one who changes things up a bit. And we almost make jokes about it sometimes, but his lurker style is scary. Like, there are people who just don't know how to deal with that many lurkers.
Yeah, that absolutely true. But it was from the get-go. It was always funny to laugh at like 20 plus lurkers because that's extreme. Like that is like what are you protecting them with? I guess more lurkers.
Yeah, exactly.
But he also was incorporating the Ling upgrades, you know, which I'm not gonna say he invented it for sure. Like I'm sure it was happening all over ladder, but it was something that like months ago I was like, wow, the Ling upgrade instead of the missile upgrade. It's interesting because he's going for, you know, Hydra lurkers. And then he would have really effective counterattacks, which I liked far more than the mass lurkers. I'm still questioning the mass lurkers. But, you know, these past 2 dream hacks, that's something that we saw, like, win Zerg's games, you know, like Nurchio's games were really awesome to see. And that he would counterattack constantly with, like, sometimes very well upgraded Lings, sometimes just, you know, Ling fodder. And that's something that I would certainly see from Guru if it was maybe a different map. But Arena being Arena, there's really only 2 direct paths that are available. One through a choke, one with the rocks having to be broken down. So I don't know if he's going to go for that Ling, that counterattack, mass lurker style on this map in particular. I mean, this is usually where you see the Zerg go for, like, roach rushes and all-ins.
I'm curious what Guru's looking for on the bottom right. I guess thought with that probe going in such a weird direction there'd be a proxy down or something, but not the case. So it's just a little bit awkward for scouting.
I think that's something we also saw a lot from the tournaments these past 2 weeks was a lot of, quite a few, whatchamacallits, proxies. You just said the word. Proxies down in that bottom right, too, as funny as that is. Anywho, Overlord gets some decent scouting, but there wasn't really much to scout. It's not too important there.
No, but that does make up for the fact that the Lings were kind of off in the middle of nowhere, so still important that he scouted nonetheless. We're going to MaNa follow this up, though, with 2 Stargates after the Overlord dies, so Guru may play blindly into this.
Yeah, that is... I like it because it came after the scout, you know? Like, this is something that Protosses were doing pretty commonly at one point. Like, it was the go-to build. I mean, especially on, like, Dusk Towers, right? To go for double Stargate. And it was always a question of, can they use the double Stargate effectively enough? Or are they just going to get overwhelmed by a ground attack? But if it's a surprise, it can actually, like, not necessarily end the game, because Phoenixes will never kill all the buildings, obviously, but basically start such a snowball effect that it has won the game anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was MaNa on this map that had the double Stargate that just made the Zerg look silly. He picked up so many drones initially, it didn't matter what the Zerg tried to do after that. He had no recovery. We'll see if that happens here.
Yeah, I mean, getting out of hand, because I remember what you're talking about, like getting that much out of hand is actually really hard to do. Usually, any amount of Spore Crawlers, Queens, decent control, they stop it from getting too crazy, but the Spine Crawler going to buy Guru a little bit of time, something he certainly needs to get the units in position and, of course, patch. But for MaNa, this isn't, I feel like, that dedicated. Maybe get in, do some harass on the drone lines, win or lose with these adepts, live or die, not that big of a deal. You know, this one gets a little bit awkwardly separated from the pack. Because all this is doing is really buying time and distracting Guru from the potential Phoenix that are on the way. And again, reminding everybody, like, Guru has not seen this. He doesn't actually know that there is double Stargates pumping Phoenix right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is stopping Gru from, thinking about it even, much less responding to a potential, just thinking about that potential. He's just thinking, okay, the adepts are doing damage, I gotta clean this up. If queens go down, it doesn't look that suspicious, and it would have been helpful for the Phoenix, and Guru could be in a bit of trouble. Now he's kind of counterattacking with the units he just made here, hoping to get a third base canceled. I'm not sure he can break the natural, especially because the Phoenix number has started to grow. They can be used in a last-ditch effort.
Yeah.
Well, Guru actually pulls back, so Mana's not to show the Phoenixes, but he is going to show them.
By the way, I do believe Guru is streaming his own matches. By the way, guys, if you want to check out his point of view, look it up on Team Liquid. Just that reminder, though, he's not using a stream delay like we are, so no spoilers in chat, please. If you do spoil things, you will get banned forever. No, 5 ever.
5 ever, even, yeah. So this is kind of what we were talking about. It's not the drones being picked up, but it's all the queens, all the initial defense. So the spore crawlers might finish, but if you're still pumping out 2 Phoenix at a time, they're not going to care about a single spore crawler.
While this goes on, there's a rather large counterattack for me.
Not large enough.
Yeah, it's getting wrecked, so never mind. I take it back.
Yeah,
Overlords. Oh my god, I didn't realize just all the Overlords just went down. He's actually supply blocked to oblivion. 42 supply. Ouch.
The Lings made that attack look bigger than it was, but they really couldn't do anything about a wall. I mean, they could cancel a third if it was going down, but MaNa has been playing very conservatively, waiting for the time to show his Phoenixes. And Guru, I mean, if this was game number 3, and this is the second time MaNa does that, he's like, oh, you're hiding something. But this game was a total surprise. Losing the queens, losing those overlords, losing momentum. I mean, the one good thing is that, yeah, okay, MaNa still doesn't have a third base, so maybe Guru can recover.
Okay, so MaNa is getting away with a lot. It's just funny to see this be the case, because we know Guru's good at defending against this. It's just this really did catch him off guard, and it feels like I don't think there is recovery at this point. I don't know.
It would have to be because of I hesitate to call it a timing, right? But because of a weak spot in MaNa's development to the mid-late game. So basically right now, right? Where like MaNa's production isn't quite up to snuff for his bank. He's banking 1,000 minerals and 300 gas. Maybe if Guru had went all in right now, he could have done something, denied the third base even longer, and really tried from there. But he's not attacking too harsh.
There's another part of this too, where 7 spore crawlers got made to try and simmer this down. So I mean, that's like another 700 minerals lost on top of everything else that's happened. You tack that on with the drones that go with it. I mean, Guru's resources loss rate is kind of scary to look at. But I don't know. As MaNa starts double pumping these immortals, things are going to look better. Third base finishes up, things keep looking better. He certainly doesn't have the ability to just move and win the game right now. So I like that he's playing it somewhat conservatively. I think he's still getting in here, but he's being a bit cavalier with the Phoenix. But he knows that he can. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, now MaNa's production has caught up to his bank. He's got double immortals being pumped out. He has more gateways covering his third base, I believe, and getting tech and upgrades. So that's all of his bank, and that's not something that Guru can actually deal with. I really think his only hope was to kill MaNa before he got to this point. And now MaNa's gonna have to deal with lurkers, but not even that many lurkers. His army is anti-lurker already.
I was going to say, he could just walk through with these immortals. I don't think the lurkers are going to be an issue. Like, there could be 20 lurkers on the other side of this, and there's still so many damn immortals, it might not be super relevant.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. So MaNa could definitely push into Guru. He doesn't have to be very scared anymore with this amount of immortals, the amount of production behind this too, in case things do go poorly. He's got Phoenix's scouting as well, so he could just go take a quick pass over the army, see what that looks like, and probably be like, okay, I can kill that.
Yeah, I would like to see MaNa still produce and replace some of these Phoenix that are dying. Like, whether it's for the continued harass or not, they are going to be useful. I mean, you pick up the lurkers out of the ground, you CC the Hydras. But regardless, Corsair bows raining from above. He's got to back with the immortals.
It's a little scary there. MaNa's still not breaking down those rocks. I really thought he would be confident enough to take on an army here, but not so. Still waiting on charge at the very least, but I see he's also getting a robotic space, so maybe waiting on disruptors. Templars not joining the fray for some Archons. No Storm. +2 should also have probably already started for MaNa as well.
You know, the 10% attack speed they're trying to give the Colossus looks laughable at best, but I would love if that ended up being just barely enough to bring Colossus back into play.
I really wonder about that upgrade. Like, I guess when you look at the things that you want to buff, you don't want to give them back their damage. You took that away for a reason. The range was just too severe. Another reason they got that back. I guess, like, attack speed would be, I mean, the outliers, but
Give him
we'll see how that.
Keep him with the low damage, but give him the ability to burn the ground for like they do in the campaign. That'd be cool.
What if they had like a wait? They attack twice, right? Yeah, a third little laser thing. Give them 3 lasers.
Where would it come from, the zombie grub?
I don't know.
You have to
They have a
reinvent
bunch
the
of-
Colossus. Are you
They
kidding
have like
me?
a bunch of like spines. I mean, you can find one to put in there.
Okay. Drops in the main are going to be charge lots. Pretty good at killing Hydralisks. Pretty good at killing drones. So not bad here from MaNa. He does get attacked on the upper right side while this goes on as well. So not going to be without his own losses back at home. But this gets cleaned up. This is not difficult to deal with. It's annoying.
Yeah, it was annoying. Yeah. What's truly annoying is knowing that can happen again. Like you can't really do very much unless you have enough money to throw down a bunch of cannons in SimCity. So, Guru should be looking to continue hammering that spot. Maybe looking to drops as well. He doesn't have overload speed on the way, so maybe going into the main, because it is a point where okay. As much as MaNa looked like he was really winning this game, it's a macro game now. And, you know, if simple slip up into lurkers could kill him, although I still don't think that would be the case. So Guru, I still think, has to be the one here to think a little bit outside the box about how to win this game.
Yeah.
And whether it's like getting to a hive or getting drops in is up to him.
That's a big part where these disruptors are going to play a bigger factor. I really like the oracles for detection, by the way, way more reliable than observers. But one thing we are missing from MaNa's army would be storms, and I'm curious if the disruptors alone are going to be enough, because I mean storms on top of hydras are way better than disruptor shots, maybe missing the hydras.
I guess so much for that overlord drop idea, by the way. MaNa might be considering that as well, and has parked the Phoenix off to the left. We do have Guru getting those upgrades, you know, actually exactly. Oh god, they went flying.
Yeah, this person did the flip.
Jesus. Yeah.
Do a
This
flip!
is actually kind of an interesting push-in for Guru. No lurkers involved here.
No, hoping that the brute force through just sheer numbers alone would break MaNa, but as we see, that's not going to be the case. I love the Guardian Shield effect there as well, really reducing a lot of that damage. We also have a run by here to the bottom right while this goes on. If Guru responds, then MaNa's going to be able to push, but he doesn't have that much to push with, so unfortunately this harass, I feel, is just going to be limited to that, just harassing a couple of units, being a mildly annoyance.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is drops, by the way.
Yeah, he's going to try them, but MaNa does have Phoenix in position, so at the very least they'll alert MaNa.
He also revealed them with the Oracle, so he knows where they are at all times. That's, you know, perhaps a little bit better, but...
He actually unloads them, maybe to hope that he didn't notice them unloading, but still gets tricked by the overlords.
Psych! I mean, the Phoenix are still going to be there one way or the other. I don't think there's going to be a big bait.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Of course, disruptors are really hard to dodge. Unless you're like already doing it before it fires, you really can't unburrow the lurker to move it in time away from the shots. So Guru is going to slowly bleed these out. And we've talked about this in the past, right? Like, it's your cooldown versus the economy. Can you out-sustain somebody who's using all these shots against lurkers?
Well, we have Zealots waiting to go into the main base. They took forever, though, so the Hydras were able to come back.
Yeah.
Or I'm almost dead here.
This is also a nice run by Guru to force MaNa back at home, but this is just going to be Warpins. 3 cannons, 3 adepts, and 3 zealots. 3-3-3 are going to be fine. There's not that many lurkers left at this point, and I don't think MaNa realizes that, oh my god, those 2 shots just got like 5 kills. He's just going to push in at this point, and Guru, he is making 28 lings. Funny enough, lings might save him against this particular army, but MaNa can recall. Like, that's the beauty of this. He can still recall out of here. Kill the hatchery and then just GTFO.
It would have to be a lot of lings. They do find him in a bit of an awkward situation, so much for the mothership.
The disruptors take out almost all the hydras right away, so
yeah,
bit of a non-problem. This is still for MaNa very costly, but the lings can't come over here because they've also got to defend on this side, and Guru may have just bled out a little too much at this point. It's not even about high tech, it's not even about the disruptors. MaNa's just going to have money where Guru won't, and oh, we'll say it for him. GG.
Alright, well, I mean, that game was bad from the Phoenix start, so...
Yeah, it got out of hand quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are going to go to game number 2, but a small break before we do, so we will get into the game ASAP and see you guys soon. All right, so as we get here into game number 2, I just want to point out this map is going to be a lot more contoured to the style in which Guru plays, but we very well may see the same mistakes, the same problems arise. We'll find out as we get into game right now. In the bottom left, we've got none other than the Polish Pride team. No, it's True Esports. Green Zerg Guru. I was going to say Team Extreme Supremacy. I keep forgetting that they made the rename.
In the top right, as the red Protoss, he is Liquid MaNa.
Going for a quick scout. Of course, well, we saw MaNa do some cool things earlier, like gas stealing and whatnot versus Protoss. It doesn't quite apply versus Zerg. So a lot of this is just seeing, like, do you take your natural early enough that I don't have to worry about some weird one base all in?
Sure, early pool could be possible, but also seeing if it's going to be a 3-hatch before a pool.
Yep, that's another big red
then,
flag to look for.
Yeah, responding accordingly. I mean, it's Dust Towers. Chances are you're going to get to 3 bases and probably even 4. But that's the trick, though, is that it is so common. That's why there's outliers of those early pools and whatnot. So, I mean, MaNa might use this probe for further, like, shenanigans, basically. I see it over on the left. Might just save it to look for the 3rd base. Might proxy something, even if it is just a pylon. But goes for his Nexus after Gateway. He didn't get that early of a scout. Now, I see a couple of comments in the chat about, like, if that was Protoss BS or Protoss, like, outplaying Guru or MaNa in this case and whatever. And I guess the surprise factor, I guess, wasn't so evident to how important it was. Because I guess when you think of, like, surprises ending a StarCraft 2 game, you think of, like, a 7-gate that wasn't scouted. And they literally, like, tap out as soon as they see, 16 Zealots run into their main base or something like that.
I want to side on the side of, like, saying it was outplaying, but I don't feel like that's the right word for it.
I actually would just pinpoint the problem being he didn't scout two gateways, or 2 stargates rather, and it didn't end the game straight up, but it was what we were discussing before it happened, where it snowballed, and it gave MaNa so much momentum, or really it took away Guru's momentum to do anything about it, and that's when everything went to hell basically for Guru. Now he might be still losing this 2-0. I mean, MaNa is also very strong against Protoss in general, and certainly Guru's mass lurker style has a couple of problems. But yes, that's what I meant. Whatever.
See, now, where I want to throw my 2 cents in here is, especially with the game building up right now, Guru did a lot of really good moves. Like, I love the idea of the Ling run buys. I like trying to get the drops in. It didn't work, obviously, but it felt like there was a string of bad luck, the Revelation tagging the Overlords as they're transforming. What's the chance that MaNa was there instead of over the Lurkers? Combined with the fact that there was that momentum taken away, as you mentioned. So I feel like Guru is, like, there wasn't a lot that game where I'm like, what a shitty player. How is this guy Grandmasters? But there was just a lot of things where MaNa, combination good moves, combination luck, both played huge factors.
Sure, yeah. I think if this would be more of a game where I would be like, okay, did one player outplay the others? It's a standard map. You have to have a macro game, and it really is going to be about who is better at reading the long-term flow of StarCraft 2 as opposed to just getting surprised by whether it's Stargates or Depths or what have you. But we do have 1 Stargate. And now showing the Phoenix, and only showing 1 Phoenix, that should tell Guru that it's not double Stargate, although it would be kind of funny / tricky if
MaNa threw MaNa down.
Yeah, it actually just saved the other Phoenix off to the left side or something like that, but not the case as we know it. It's actually going to be still tricky, though. It's 5 more gateways coming down here, so the Phoenix opener is almost a lie.
It's really interesting, though, because I'm curious about this proxy he's set up, right? Like, it's not like you're hiding in it, like, the 1 gateway count. Like, oh, man, he's got 5 gates instead of 6. There's no way he's all enemy. But, like, the warp in location doesn't feel that advantageous, even though it is on the other side of the map. So we'll see how this gets utilized. This is... I mean, I like this, but I'm curious to see what extent this will play in this game.
So he might just use all of his warp-ins on that proxy. So on the off chance a Ling or an Overlord runs through his natural, he doesn't see 16 Adepts bulked up.
That's true.
I mean, I agree with you. It still looks very odd, and you can hide Adepts in your own main base, especially considering that Phoenixes are around to stop Overlords and Lings from scouting. But hey, I don't know. And he does. He warps them all off to the left side, so it should be a complete surprise. The lack of a Nexus at this time is a little suspicious, but MaNa made it look like he was about to take it. So I don't know if Guru's really read into that. In fact, actually, it almost doesn't matter. Guru has just been playing pretty greedy beyond
Yeah.
the opener.
There's
He doesn't have a Roach Warren yet.
The Phoenix don't even need to kill these queens, by the way. Just crowd control them for temporary amounts of time, and the Adept's going to do the rest. I mean, a Spore Collar's coming down, not a Spine. The Adepts do get surrounded by the Lings, though, so this is not going to work out as well for MaNa as
yeah,
it looked like it was going to.
I guess Lings were just enough anyway, and that's honestly surprising. It was actually cleaned up so easily by Guru. I don't know what MaNa's really going to do here.
What I worry about now for MaNa is the fact that this was so dedicated to the point where there's no third, but there's also not a lot of workers. Like, this base isn't even fully saturated. Like, this was a really cool idea for an all-in, but he's not getting ahead from it, and that's where the problem lies.
He's absolutely going to just die here. I almost like, okay, so not being a Protoss player myself and not doing this all in myself, I gave a lot of faith in MaNa, right? Like, you know, okay, this has got to be a good, powerful build that will kill a Zerg, but what I'm seeing here is when does this kill a Zerg? You know, if they don't have roaches and all they have is lings, like, how does it work?
Killing the fourth isn't too bad. Sentry's gonna be able to force field. I guess there's no mothership. I didn't realize you had skipped past that for this. The Adepts come through once again for round 2 on the Queens, this time without a lot of Lings to defend against them. They will get some kills, but here comes those Lings returning, and MaNa has to do a lot of damage here. Like, this isn't like you get away with bare minimums. He has to do a significant amount of damage. He is going to scoop up some of these Hydras and Roaches, though, to help extend the duration in which the Adepts can stay.
It's so funny to me that when it was pure Lings, the Adepts did less, but since there are Roaches out, they did more.
Yeah,
in fact, they're doing a lot more. Like,
21.
I can't believe.
He's also killing these Hydras. Like, as they hatch, they come out one at a time.
He's still gonna win this game. Like, did the first wave not matter? Is it like a third wave coming into the third base?
This is like what we saw Blind. He would win with these all-ins that made no sense. You're like, dude, you totally fucked up your first 3 all-ins. How did you win with a 4th? Like, for MaNa, it's kind of getting to that point, but right now, before we get too ahead of ourselves, he's only really evened it up. Like, the worker count is about even. It's 4 bases to 2. I don't think MaNa's exactly won this game just yet, but he's like on the verge of doing it.
He's definitely not enough damage that if he could expand, I think he'd be okay. He's still banking a lot of minerals though, so I don't know. He's probing again though too. Yeah, right. and the fact is, if he has just 3, 6, 2, they can continue to shade and at the very least buy more time, so MaNa maybe can get that third base down. Because that's the one problem would be, you know, not getting the roaches to keep on canceling it, as you know, there's no mothership core, there's no pylons down there anymore. In fact, he's trying to break out of his own main base with probes because he pylon blocked.
And he doesn't want to have to use any warp pins. That's hilarious. But regardless of this third timing for a moment, like, Guru's not building a lot of new army units. He's trying to replace these drones. I mean, 49 have died. That's crazy. But Guru's got no bank. Like, MaNa actually has money to work with. I'm not sure what to make of this, because Guru is taking such an economic amount of damage at this point, but again, like, the 4 hatcheries really stands out to me. The fact that MaNa doesn't have an army that can take on Guru's army yet, like Asterisk, that stands out to me. But I feel like as this keeps getting further and further, like, MaNa said, screw the third base, I'll just get a double robo and a third after. So he's going to have immortal production, and these roaches, which he couldn't deal with initially, suddenly become a non-issue.
Yeah, he recognized that the one opportunity for his loss here would be not being able to defend, and that is a fairly scary army. So he's trying to build whatever he can, including maybe more phoenixes. At least he can crowd control some of the hydras, and he might be willing to cancel this third base. He might even be anticipating it, but Guru's army is not attacking. It's actually it got spread up a little bit. I don't know what's happening.
He's probably scared at home, and I wouldn't blame him either.
It's all over to the left. I don't know where was his army going? Was it looking for the gateway?
I guess
he
kept seeing
the gateway.
It kept seeing him come from the north. So he's got an idea. I mean, look at this clicking, right? He has no idea where it is. He's looking everywhere for it. But this pylon and this gateway aren't where the core of this game goes. In fact, if MaNa knew that he was looking for this, if he knew what any amount of the army was going to the top left, he could just pounce on top of the main base with these adepts.
Yeah. But either way, whether it's attacking or just realizing that, oh, hey, I can get a defense up really easily, I'm going to have 3 immortals, then either way, it's great for MaNa. And this is a very funky game, as Guru has now caught up in workers once again after losing so many. But the army supply being even, the tech might start swinging in favor of MaNa, although he is missing an upgrade here.
Well, I want to point out, Guru's also not been able to afford to replace a lot of the queens. We have no injects going on when this goes on. I mean, this is like... I guess he doesn't have the money for it right now, and that's okay, but...
He doesn't... Yeah, I guess the thing is that he doesn't really need injects. He's only has so many minerals.
Well,
It's not a larva problem.
I'm scared to do this, but I'm gonna look at the income graph real quick. And yep, as predicted, as soon as MaNa starts attacking, you see Guru from kicking ass to just being so far behind in money. I really gotta say though, these Immortals are going to be game changers. The Adepts are gonna help take care of the Hydras when it comes to damage. The Immortals are gonna soak hits from everything but kill roaches on top of it. I mean, most of the Phoenix got killed. That sucks, but to be honest, MaNa's great with what he has. I will say the third base being later, that's unfortunate, but he's made up for it. He could probably even, it's bold, but he could probably take a fourth right now if he wanted to as well. If he really wanted to play greedy.
If he had an excess of minerals, I'd say definitely do it, but he is using his production pretty wisely here. His Phoenixes are still crucial in scouting, so as long as at least one is alive, I think he's okay with that. Okay, they're still getting overlords though. Okay.
I would say another thing too is like you are worried about some sort of swap up. Like, okay, Hydras and Roaches, this is what you expected, so that's why you built 18 Immortals. But oops, you didn't see the Spire, Mutalisk come in and you have no anti-air. Like, you talk about scouting, that's the type of information MaNa really needs, but right now I think he knows Guru just doesn't have the money, and Guru's not the type of player to do a lot of those tech swaps either. In fact, there we go, Lurker Den is kind of more to be expected than a Spire swap. But man, if he went Spire right now, he would win this game.
This looks like a flipping normal game. Like, people joining would be like, yeah, this looks perfectly normal. Immortal Charge Lot, Templar Archive on the way, versus Roach Hydra Lurker, and with Guru he's gonna get the melee upgrades as he usually does, and this is... It almost is a normal game. The one problem for MaNa is that he doesn't have upgrades. He's getting them now. But the other problem for Guru is that he's going to have to deal with a Protoss Immortal army, which, after it gets to a certain amount of Immortals, it's always going to be scary. And I actually don't know who to give this to. Like, they're killing so many drones. I really thought MaNa was going to absolutely win.
Yeah.
Or have like a much bigger lead, but he really doesn't.
Speaking of those drone kills, by the way, you know what comes after 5D but before 7D?
60?
Yeah, that's the amount of drones he's lost.
Wow, what a way to ask for that.
Now, this fourth phase does come, and I think he had a little bit more time, where earlier if he had placed this down, he could have gotten away with it. Now it's a little bit scary because there are Roaches and Ravagers and whatnot out, but at the end of the day, I feel like his army is just too strong to break. And taking this fourth, whether it was slow, whether it was fast, MaNa, of course, needs this going forward as he's mined out of his main, he's mining out of his natural, but his production's still just great behind this. I mean, this Immortal count is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even if these shields only absorbed 100 damage instead of 200, it's still so much tankiness through these units.
I would have been worried like a minute ago if you were attacked in, but now MaNa's also getting to that point where you can warp in a lot of fodder with charge lots. His charge just finished.
Well, speaking of which, he's going to harass some on this side. This new base out of Guru is probably going to go down.
Yeah, and his upgrade finished as well, so they're on even attack upgrades since Guru went for those Lings. Lings retreat back to save his fifth base. They're also going to try and, I guess, deny MaNa's fifth, should it get to that point, but this is the one situation where Guru's Ling attacks shouldn't be doing a lot of damage. Dusk Towers, 4 bases are very collected, one army in the middle of the map. You should be seeing all these Ling counterattacks. If MaNa had made the mistake of getting the other 4th base, thinking that Lurgurs would be too much of the problem, I think Guru's Lings would be doing a lot of damage right now, but I definitely like the way that MaNa's expanded here. Maybe even break down the rocks preemptively if you have time to make sure Lurkers don't get on top of that plateau. But he's looking to move out, actually.
Rip. A little squad over here.
Yeah, little squad.
The attempted run-bys are cool. I would hope to see MaNa start investing in some cannons so he doesn't have to worry about this. Guru showed a lot of this last game, and he's doing it right now. I mean, look at this. It's 1 cannon behind some awkward Sim City. 2 cannons, excuse me, but...
Oh, the Zealot! Oh, Zealot.
Okay, dude, you gotta go back to school. You get taught one thing, and it's hold positioning. But regardless, like, again, these run-bys are what Guru's gonna rely on pretty heavily going forward. I think the Baneling Nest is a little bit silly because this isn't a Zealot, this isn't an Adept-heavy army. It is mostly Immortals and Archons and things that don't give a fuck about Banelings. But if Guru can get enough money to the point where he can just throw Banelings into that army, it is going to be more effective than Lings, without a doubt.
Oh no. So this is why you don't see players take this space, is because of the Lurkers. I had hoped that MaNa was going to be able to deny this, like just not let it happen in general, but was dealing with the Ling attacks.
He's still missing in that wall block too, so I mean, this is getting worse for him. He can't put the army back to deal with it. He's got to deal with these Lurkers at some point. It's going to lift him up, not a bad option.
Yeah, finally.
But
that
MaNa he was in such a good spot. But now look at these banks. Like, look at Guru. He's got
yeah.
3,000 minerals. Did he ever build Queen's back though? Okay, he did. So he has been. He's not injecting though. That's the problem.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I guess they saw a Warp Prism earlier and they were just kind of chilling. But like, well, 6 hatcheries is cool. Don't get me wrong. You need injects to spend 3,000 minerals, unless he's planning to make ultras or something.
How much? 17 larvae. Yeah, like ultras. Then that is something we have to talk about is hive tech in general, I suppose. Like, not just ultras. Although the 4th base, oh my god.
Getting wrecked.
I really
Riggedy,
think these
riggedy
Lynx
wrecked.
attacks to do anything, but anytime MaNa moves forward just the tiniest bit, Guru runs in with this, and it's just doing a ton of damage.
I mean, there's no force field, so these zealots are not
There we
quite
go.
cutting it. There's that one force field. Finally, he will clean this up, but again, this is a lot of money lost. I mean, at this point, I'm wondering if it might be better to just try and secure this base down here instead. He is continuing with his own harassment, though. Warp Prism going to unload some zealots here on the left side, so this new base for Guru does get canceled, not killed. Army's going to respond to this, and can MaNa take advantage of this? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, there's going to be lurkers that keep coming up this cliff. They're going to constantly try and harass this base.
Yeah, yeah. But going back to the hive, so Guru's doing damage. He's stopping MaNa from accruing a bank and getting a 5th base. That means that MaNa has to win this army, and that's a very scary situation to be in. But it is an army that can win.
It's a lot of immortals.
The next step would obviously be the Broodlords, but Guru's only just now finishing his invitation pit.
So I'm loving the Spine Crawlers coming down to help a little bit behind this, but there's the Guru's classically large, too many lurkers.
Oh,
So
man.
it's kind of working here. Guru can't really move up. These Banelings are going to take out this base, though. Zealots warped in aren't going to cut it because Banelings will work against them. Ravagers on top of this. MaNa's got to choose to keep pushing or go home, and I think right now it really has
Oh, he
to
gets a
go home.
concave on those lurkers, though. He could totally kill them, but yeah, he decides to go home, realizing that's actually some of his last mining. The main is mined out, the natural is mostly mined out.
Third's
He
getting
really
low.
needs this 4th base. He'll clean up the Ravagers, and maybe he still has
So-
an army to deal with everything else.
This is where you kind of want to go, like, at what cost, right? But at the end of the day, Guru, I guess, while he had a fantastic mineral bank, didn't really have that much gas. So he's out of money to make more lurkers right now. He actually can't replace the lurkers he lost. Those Banelings, too expensive. He can't afford them. And not because of minerals, not because of larva, but because of gas.
And that does question, like, is getting Banelings at all, especially these little hooks, really worth it?
Hello?
Oh, okay. Wait,
No,
actually,
Zealot? Hello?
okay.
Can we
Jesus
just fully
Christ,
wall this
Zealot.
off?
God,
Okay.
okay. So many probes.
MaNa's pushing while this goes on. A wall of force fields comes down to keep those Hydras at bay. There's a lot of Banelings behind that, too.
Yeah.
This is scary, though. MaNa is really out on a limb with some expensive units. We talked about Guru not being able to replace his army. Neither can MaNa. This is so much gas he's potentially losing in this fight.
Oh, no more force fields. Those Banelings are starting to roll in a little bit. The Archons are getting very, very low on health. Those Immortals, once their shields are gone, they can
the
be torn
Lurkers from
down
behind.
by the Hydras. Oh, Lurkers just get decimated.
Good response, picking those off. Yeah, but the Immortals, you're right. They've got no barrier. They've got to start falling back. Barrier's coming about halfway on cooldown. He's going to lose everything in here on the front lines. But
Well?
so does Guru. So the question is, who's got a better non-gas army behind this?
I thought Guru's mass Hydra army was actually going to be the secret here, you know? Like, especially once the Archons were down.
Yeah.
But the Immortals are still pretty good. Even without their barrier ability up, they still cut through the Hydras. They absolutely cut through the Lurkers. And the mass
the Warp
Zealot
Aid.
Warp
Oh.
MaNa had, like, basically
My
only
God.
a money bank, and money bank is all he needed, apparently.
That was 9 Zealots warped in, by the way. That's I mean, that's a lot of money, sure, but that's everything he needed to knock down this base. This is Guru's mining base. He's going to take a fight down here to the south. Zealots are really good against Hydras when charge hits, and there we go. Gets the connects. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Hydras are starting to go down. Now, he does abandon killing the base to do this, and I think that this is getting maybe a bit desperate because MaNa, he's going to start running into reinforcements soon.
Yeah,
But-
and when his Zealots start to get, into these chokes here, and they're going to get away from each other, that's when the Hydras maybe can start winning again.
Oh, disruptor
Oh,
shots.
Yeah, I don't even, where did the disruptor even come from? I guess they got rallied.
It's actually, I think, the same one that was there earlier. It's just been kind of
Oh,
awkwardly
really?
on the front lines. I'm not sure entirely if that's the case or not. But the Lurker Den goes down, which means no more Hydras, no more Lurkers to worry about. It's just going to be Lings at this point. And frankly, Archon, forget the Zealots,
MaNa's-
the Archon is going to be boss mode here. And I think
MaNa's
MaNa...
done it.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
this game went really back and forth, and this proves without any doubt to me, like, just how hard of a player Guru. Like, he loses 60 workers and he almost wins the game. Like, that's why we up talk this player. That's why we love having Guru play, because he's a scary dude. But MaNa gets so much credit for making this really terrible game work. I mean, this was so back and forth.
It was definitely a game that can't be called. I mean, chat was like right there, like just confused, calling it like a little bit early, and it was certainly a back and forth game. You could even call it a comeback for both players at one point or another. I love this random High Templar, by the way. It doesn't have Storm.
I get so, like, I shouldn't, but I get perverse pleasure, by the way, when we see people call stuff early in chat. And even if I wasn't, like, right or wrong, I'm just like, haha, you idiots. It's not going that way at all.
Yeah, well, of course we can do that because you have the delay.
Though, perhaps, I mean, we're not speaking too soon. Guru's got no army supply, but the army supply he does have is kind of winning out on this side of the map. MaNa just lost his only mining base.
And Guru still has money and even a little bit of gas.
What?
He's been mining off of 3 extra bases while his army was dying. Yeah, that is the problem though, isn't it? Like Lings, if there weren't charge lots, great. Roaches, if there weren't immortals, okay, I guess, but still not great.
MaNa should probably start long distance mining or something. Just gotta get that mineral income back up. But I mean, Guru, it's down to the ropes. This should be MaNa's game, but it could still be Guru's. That's where this gets really sticky and hairy. I feel like as long as MaNa doesn't miss any disruptor shots, as long as he doesn't let his units get exposed, he's got the Warp Prism here. Pick up those immortals. Don't let them go down. There's the pickup.
Oh yeah. Oh no, just for the second one. Oh my god.
He doesn't get the second one. Disruptor's going to get a lot of the roaches, though, so kind of going to be worth it here at the end of the day. Picks up that immortal once again. MaNa will just barely kill this army. We'll say it for him once again. GG.
Wow.
And we're going to get that TVP finals. MaNa always being the foreigner to rise above and fight the Koreans is going to happen once again. It's going to be MaNa versus Keen in the TVP finals for this week's Corsair Cup. Wowzer. I don't really have a lot to say other than that. That was a great game. It was 2-0, so it looks a little bit more one-sided than it was, but I think all of us who watch know exactly how that game played out.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, we're going to go to a break while we get this set up. We already know the first map. Things are preset. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back soon.